In January 2025, a rebel army captured one of Africa's most strategically important cities in a matter of days, Goma, a city of 2 million people. The Congolese army collapsed. Peacekeepers from South Africa, Tanzania, and Malawi were overwhelmed within weeks. A second city fell, then a third. The rebels, known as M23, were armed with Turkish drones, anti-aircraft systems, and advanced electronic warfare technology. They weren't buying that on the black market. Behind M23 stands Rwanda, one of Africa's most celebrated success stories. The country the world rebuilt after the 1994 genocide, the darling of Western foreign aid. And yet, the United Nations has documented Rwandan troops fighting directly alongside the rebels. UN experts have shown Rwanda smuggling billions in Congolese minerals. The US has now sanctioned Rwanda's entire military leadership. Rwanda still denies all of it. This is the war your phone helped pay for. To understand this conflict, you first need to understand what is at stake. The Democratic Republic of the Congo is the size of Western Europe. It sits on top of one of the most extraordinary concentrations of natural wealth on Earth, cobalt. The mineral inside every lithium-ion battery, every electric vehicle, every smartphone. The DRC holds more than 70% of the world's known reserves. Coltan, refined into tantalum, used in the capacitors of virtually every piece of modern electronics you own. The DRC has the largest deposits on the planet: gold, tin, tungsten, copper, lithium, rare earths. In 2022 alone, copper and cobalt exports totaled $25 billion, more than a third of the country's entire GDP. And yet, 75% of Congolese people live on less than $2.15 a day. That gap between the extraordinary wealth in the ground and the extraordinary poverty of the people who live above it is the beating heart of this conflict. Eastern Congo, where the minerals are densest, is also where governance is weakest, where the state barely reaches, and where more than 100 armed groups have spent decades fighting over who controls the mines. For the people of Eastern Congo, this wealth has not been a gift, it has been a curse. But the story doesn't begin with minerals, it begins with one of the darkest events in modern history. In 1994, Rwanda experienced a genocide that killed an estimated 800,000 people, mostly ethnic Tutsis, in just 100 days. The world did not stop it. When the genocide ended, the Tutsi-led Rwandan Patriotic Front, the RPF, took power in Kigali. The genocidaires, the Hutu militias who had carried out the killing, fled across the border into what was then Zaire, the country we now call the Democratic Republic of Congo. They set up camp in eastern Congo and continued to arm themselves. Rwanda called them an existential threat. And for years, that argument had genuine legitimacy. These were real killers, genuinely dangerous, genuinely present in the forests of eastern Congo. But over time, Rwanda's response evolved into something else. In 1996, Rwanda invaded Congo, then called Zaire, to pursue those militias. A second war followed. Between 1996 and 2003, what historians call the Congo Wars drew in 9 African nations and 25 armed groups, killed an estimated 5.4 million people, and left eastern Congo shattered. Paul Kagame, Rwanda's current president, emerged from that period as a towering figure, celebrated internationally, praised as a visionary leader who rebuilt his country from the ruins of genocide. But in eastern Congo, the pattern was already clear. Rwanda had learned that it could project power across the border, extract resources, and use the language of security, fighting the Hutu militia threat as a justification the world would accept. The militia that justified everything is called the FDLR, the Democratic Forces for the Liberation of Rwanda. It still exists today in eastern Congo. And every time Rwanda's role in the DRC is questioned, Kigali points to the FDLR. The March 23rd movement, M23, was first created in 2012, built largely from ethnic Tutsi fighters in eastern DRC who claimed they were being persecuted. The UN documented that Rwanda backed them then too. International pressure forced the group to dissolve and its fighters to go into exile in 2013. For almost a decade, M23 was dormant. Then, in 2021, they came back. At first, it looked like a limited resurgence, skirmishes in North Kivu, the kind of violence that eastern Congo had seen many times before. But this M23 was different. This time, Rwanda wasn't just supporting the rebels from a distance. According to a confidential UN report leaked in 2025, Rwanda provided M23 with direct command and control, advanced weaponry including Turkish Bayraktar TB2 drones, anti-aircraft systems, electronic warfare tools, tactical training, and real-time intelligence. The Rwandan Defense Force wasn't behind M23, it was inside M23. Between 2022 and 2024, M23 systematically pushed through North Kivu, capturing town after town. The Congolese army, underfunded, poorly led, riddled with corruption, retreated at almost every turn. Regional peacekeepers, or deploy. First 6,500 Kenyan-led East African Community troops. Then forces from South Africa, Tanzania, and Malawi under the Southern African Development Community. Neither force was able to stop M23's advance. In the battle for Goma in January 2025, 20 soldiers from South Africa, Malawi, and Tanzania were killed in direct clashes with the rebels. Within weeks, those forces withdrew entirely. M23 had, in effect, defeated multiple African armies, and they were still advancing. Goma is the capital of North Kivu province, a city of 2 million people on the shores of Lake Kivu, directly on the Rwandan border. It is also the humanitarian hub of Eastern Congo, the base for UN operations, international NGOs, aid organizations serving millions of displaced people across the region. In late January 2025, M23 surrounded the city. Between 900 and 3,000 people were killed in the offensive, depending on whose estimates you trust. Hundreds of thousands fled. The Congolese military collapsed so fast that around 2,300 police officers reportedly defected to the other side. On February 4th, M23 declared a unilateral ceasefire, not because they were stopped, because they had won. Less than 2 weeks later, they captured Bukavu, the capital of South Kivu, with a population of 1.3 million. Together, these two cities represent the administrative heart of Eastern Congo. Controlling them means controlling the region's trade routes, its institutions, its mines. M23 began setting up a parallel government, running local councils, collecting taxes, establishing a police force. They even created a political wing, the Congo River Alliance, which openly calls for regime change in Kinshasa, Congo's distant capital. This was no longer a rebel insurgency. This was an occupation. In the camps outside the city, the toll on civilians was catastrophic. UN estimates put the number of people displaced in the first 3 months of 2025 alone at over 500,000. Food ran out. Disease spread. Women and girls face systematic sexual violence, a tactic used deliberately, documented consistently, by armed groups across Eastern Congo for years. One aid worker, Jen Egeland of the Norwegian Refugee Council, visited the camps and described conditions as, quote, subhuman. He said the world's leaders should be ashamed. The displacement crisis across the entire DRC now stands at over 7 million people, one of the largest in the world. So why is Rwanda doing this? The official answer from Kigali is always the same: the FDLR, the Hutu militia, the security threat. Rwanda is just protecting itself, but the evidence points to something else running alongside that justification. Since the M23 insurgency re-emerged in 2021, Rwanda's official mineral exports have surged dramatically. In 2024, Rwanda exported 150 metric tons of coltan, a mineral Rwanda barely produces domestically. In 2025, Rwanda drove a record $2 billion in gold exports. Uganda's gold exports, similarly, have reached $3.4 billion for a country with almost no gold of its own. Where is it coming from? Eastern Congo. M23 seized the Rubaya mine in eastern DRC in 2024, one of the world's biggest coltan deposits. UN estimates suggest the group now earns around $800,000 every month just from taxing coltan production and trade at that single mine. Gold, tin, tungsten, cassiterite all flow out of M23-controlled territory into Rwanda, where they're laundered into global supply chains, stamped with Rwandan export certificates, and sold to the international market, to electronics manufacturers, to battery companies, to the global tech industry. The phone in your pocket likely contains minerals from this region. And the companies buying them, many of them, know this, or should. A Wall Street Journal investigation found that Rwanda and Uganda are smuggling billions of dollars worth of Congolese minerals even as the region descended into chaos. The Oakland Institute put it plainly: as long as the United States continues to support Rwanda as a business hub for refining and re-exporting smuggled Congolese minerals, there is no incentive for Rwanda to stop. In 2025, the United States got involved. The Trump administration brokered two separate deals: the Doha Framework in November 2025 between the DRC government and M23, and the Washington Accords in December 2025 between the DRC and Rwanda. President Trump called it, at the signing, a, quote, great miracle. 6 days later, M23 captured Uvira, a strategic city in South Kivu. The DRC's president accused Rwanda of violating the deal the day after it was signed. It was not a miracle. It was a photo opportunity. Critics noted that the Washington Accords were, in essence, a minerals deal with a peace process attached. The agreement promised Western investment, including American investment, in Congo's mineral wealth, in exchange for Rwanda and M23 pulling back. Some experts argued the deal gave Rwanda more than it gave Congo: international legitimacy, access to investment, and a U.S. seal of approval. All while Rwandan troops remained on Congolese soil and M23 continued to hold Goma and Bukavu. In March 2026, the United States finally imposed sanctions on Rwanda's entire military leadership, the Army Chief of Staff, the Chief of Defense, to top generals, for what Treasury called direct operational support of M23. Rwanda called the sanctions unjust and said they distort the facts. The UN Security Council unanimously condemned Rwanda's actions and demanded withdrawal. Rwanda denied the substance of the resolution. As of today, M23 still controls Goma. It still controls Bukavu. Rwandan troops have not left. The Doha talks have stalled and reportedly relocated to Switzerland. Ceasefires are announced and violated within days. The war continues. Here is what makes the DRC M23 conflict so uniquely disturbing. This is not a war without a guilty party. The UN has documented it. The US has sanctioned it. The Security Council has condemned it unanimously. Rwanda's role is not a conspiracy theory. It is the official conclusion of every credible international body that has examined the evidence. And yet the war persists. Because the people funding it profit from it. Because the minerals flow. Because Rwandan President Paul Kagame remains a celebrated figure in Western capitals, praised for his governance, his economic model, his remarkable rebuilding of a post-genocide nation. All of that may be true. And it can coexist with the reality that his government is running an occupation next door, overseeing the largest displacement crisis in the world, and feeding conflict minerals into the global technology supply chain. Congo is not a failed state. It is a sovereign country with the most extraordinary natural wealth on the planet, wealth that the world wants desperately, particularly as the demand for electric vehicles and batteries grows. The question is not whether that wealth will be extracted. It will be extracted. The question is whether the people of Eastern Congo will live to see any of the benefit. Right now, the answer is no. 7 million displaced. Billions in minerals stolen. 2 major cities under foreign-backed occupation. A peace deal violated before the ink was dry. And the world is, for the most part, looking the other way. If you think that story deserves more than silence, share this video. Subscribe for more coverage of the conflicts that matter. The links below go to the UN Group of Experts reports, to Human Rights Watch investigations, and the Oakland Institute's mineral trade analysis, primary sources, not opinions. Because the people of Eastern Congo deserve more than to be background noise in someone else's supply chain.